What's up guys, so today we're going to be replacing the lower control arms and control arm bushings on this E46. Now if you're wondering how to check your control arm bushings on an E46, E36, E30, E34, they're all pretty much the same setup. So usually you're going to get some back and forth play like this. If you jack up the front end and you got some back and forth play like this, usually that's a pretty good sign that your control arm bushings are worn. You'll also notice a clunking under braking because the front wheels are trying to move forward or backwards while you're braking. Also, when you put the car from drive to reverse, start rolling, you're going to notice a clunk because the wheels moving back and forth like this. So pretty common issue. We're going to repair it today. This one also has the ball joints worn out on the control arm, so we're just replacing the entire control arm with the bushings. We're going to start by jacking up this side of the car. Now we can remove our wheel. Now we're going to try and do this without removing the entire steering knuckle here. I think it's possible. Pretty sure I've done it before, so we're about to find out. What I'm going to do is remove this tie rod nut here, pop the tie rod loose so I can rotate this knuckle around and get on that lower control arm ball joint bolt. This is an 18mm. Now we're going to pop our ball joint loose. I'm going to take my favorite tool here, slip it on over, tighten it down. There we go. Now we can get on our lower ball joint nut. I'm also going to remove this wheel speed sensor just to get it out of the way so I don't damage it. It's a 5mm Allen head bolt. There we go, get that out of the way. Come over here. We're going to have to hold the knuckle as we do this. There we go. Wasn't too tight. So I don't have enough room right now to fit this tool in because the control arm angle is up like this. So I already have the bushing disconnected. What I'm going to do is come over here to this other joint. I'm going to loosen the nut for this one and then drop that one out so that the control arm angle can change, and then I can get this tool up in here, pop that ball joint loose. So I'm on the nut right here. I don't know how well you can see that. This is a 22mm, and we're just going to pop it loose. There we go. Now, your engine mount is right in the way, so you don't get a lot of a turn on it, but it's doable. Before we pop that loose, I'm going to disconnect this level sensor on the control arm. It's a 13mm nut. I believe that started to move. Oh yeah, okay. There we go. Now we can pull this down. Kind of wiggle on the knuckle here as you pull it down. There we go. Okay, that's out. With this ball joint popped out, the subframe, we got enough room to slide this tool up in here now, so it's going to make removing this a lot easier. There we go. Popped it loose. And we are out. Look at how fucked up this thing is. Yeah, that ball joint was fucked, bro. We have our new control arm here. Now we will have to install a new bushing on this before we install it on the car. These bushings are different left and right. You can look for a stamping. Hopefully your new ones came with a stamp. See, this one's for the left side, and this one is for the right side. So passenger side is always the right side of the car. At least in America, passenger side is always the right side of the car. Driver side is always the left. So it's always the perspective from the driver's seat. So this is how the bushing needs to be installed. The bushing faces the inside of the car, and the flange goes towards the outer port. So we're gonna take the thin coated dish liquid, put it on the inside of the bushing. We're also gonna put a little bit on the control arm itself. And we're gonna align this. Get our hammer and a block of wood. This was not going on too easy. What I did was sprayed some silicone spray down in here and hooked up this ratchet strap in the vise, and that way I can hold constant pressure on it while I hit the center of it with a hammer, and that seemed to help. Now that we got the bushing installed, we can install the control arm on the car. Tighten our upper nut. The trick to these is keep your finger on the center of the spindle and feel if that spindle is turning with the nut or not, because these are new nylon locking nuts. So sometimes they'll grab the spindle and you'll be spinning the ball joint essentially while trying to tighten it, and it'll never get tight that way. So you might have to either put some pressure on the bottom side to seat the taper, or put a Torx bit or Allen key, whichever, on the center of the spindle to hold it in place as you're doing this. This one isn't spinning luckily yet, so I won't have to do that. There is very limited space up there to be doing that, so kind of glad that's not happening. Actually, I'm extremely glad that's not happening. Now we can come over here, move the knuckle, install our lower ball joint. So this one is spinning like I was talking about earlier. So I'm gonna try and reposition this. Get the ball joint up in there and put a little bit of pressure on it. Hopefully that stops it from spinning so I can tighten this down, but that's not looking like the case. So I'm gonna have to put a tool in there in the center to hold it in place as I'm tightening it. Looks like an Allen key will fit. Actually, that's a Torx bit. So this got a T30 in the center of it. Just gonna take this, lock it in place. As I tighten that nut down, now that spindle will no longer be spinning. Once you get close, you can remove that center tool because now it's seating on the taper, and you can tighten this down. Now don't forget our level sensor over here, we removed earlier. Also our wheel speed sensor, make sure it didn't pick up anything on it. And finally our tie rod. I have to do the driver's side as well, but process is the same on the driver's side, and we're gonna get this thing rolling.